Well, I'm here to tell you, look like the reports could possibly be true. That is Caitlin Clark being done with the Indiana Fever. Now, the Los Angeles Sparks has been making noise behind the scenes. Lynne Roberts just finished up a press conference a few hours ago, and it looked even more damn spooky. I'm telling you right now, do not be surprised if the news come out, because I'm going to be tracking this thing like a hawk, and I got to be honest with you. It ain't no place like Hollywood, bruh. LA is a big market. A lot of stars out there. Now, LeBron isn't there anymore. But one thing
The microphone was live, and the room went completely silent as Lynne Roberts looked straight into the lens. Within minutes of the press conference ending, the locker room was reportedly in flames over what had just been said. Kate Martin, the newest contract signee, couldn't believe the words coming out of her coach's mouth regarding her former teammate. It wasn't just a comment about basketball, it was a direct shot at the impact of a generational icon. The tension that followed was deafening, and for those watching the Indiana Fever, a new nightmare was beginning. The Sparks were making moves behind the scenes that could change the trajectory of the WNBA forever.
No place like Hollywood, bruh. LA is a big market. A lot of stars out there. Now, LeBron isn't there anymore. But one thing I can tell you, if Caitlin Clark is going to be on that basketball team, it is going to be nights like we've never seen it before. It's going to be a star-studded event damn near every game. I'm telling you right now. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but the Inklings is looking like this could very much be a real thing. And just like I stated before, man, Jason Whitlock was the one who kind of broke this story. Now,
the bombshell started with a report that has the entire sports world reeling tonight. Rumors are circulating at lightning speed that Caitlin Clark might actually be done with the Indiana Fever. While fans were busy arguing over stats, a massive shift was happening behind the scenes in the Los Angeles market. Reports indicate that the Sparks have been making serious moves behind the closed doors of their front office, preparing for a roster explosion. It sounds like a Hollywood movie script, but the reality is starting to look more like an inevitability. With LeBron James no longer the sole focus of the city, there is a massive power vacuum waiting for a new superstar to claim the throne.
Conference that we're about to listen to in a little bit, Lynne Roberts speak about why they signed Kate Martin to this contract. Says Kate Martin began the Sparks season as a member of the team's player and development pool. Now she's back as a contracted WNBA player. The team announced this on the 6th, which was yesterday. Now, this right here is making big-time news. And many people were saying this is a clear indicator that Caitlin Clark is possibly on the way. Let's read some of these comments. Somebody said, good.
Just a few hours ago, Lynne Roberts finished a press conference that many are calling spooky and calculated. She confirmed that the team had officially signed Kate Martin to a standard contract, moving her out of the player development pool. On the surface, it looks like a routine roster move, but insiders are calling it a clear indicator of a much larger plan. You don't just sign Martin to a full contract unless you're preparing the environment for her closest allies. The timing of this announcement, coming just as rumors about Caitlin Clark potentially hitting the trade block began to surface, is too coincidental to ignore. This is a telltale sign that the Sparks are hunting for a big fish.
The spark plug upgrade, go get them, number 21. Guys, I'm telling you right now, this is a telltale sign that Caitlin Clark is on the way. Do not be surprised. Now let's look.
Side of the press conference, Erica Wheeler and Ray Burrell, both in their own ways, showing a lot of passion that they really want this. Erica telling me that she's very frustrated. She got to be a better leader. Ray Burrell, I could see it on her face. She graciously did the interview with me, but I could tell like it was still affecting her. When you think about like the passion that these players have and their want to, how do you?
The move to bring Kate Martin onto a full contract has set the internet on fire with speculation. Fans are pointing out that Martin began the season in the player development pool, but her sudden elevation to the active WNBA roster is being viewed as a strategic masterstroke. Many believe this is the first domino to fall in a sequence that ends with Caitlin Clark wearing a Sparks jersey. One fan commented that if Los Angeles has a coach who truly supports playmakers, they need to bring Caitlin into the fold immediately. The idea of Martin and Clark reuniting amid the glitz and glamour of Los Angeles is enough to make any executive salivate. It is the kind of star-studded storyline that Hollywood was built for.
Out of our own way on some level, but there's an element of toughness and effort that isn't consistent. And last night we just looked disconnected. Maybe that's because we sat out 8 days, didn't play. But I don't like using excuses. We got to be better. We're pros. We all have a job to do. We got to show up and do it better. And like I've said many times, the good news is today it's all about Indiana. We got to turn the page, learn from what we learned from what we saw last night. But that's not going to win any games. The level of connectedness, the max, second.
However, not everyone in the building is smiling about the current state of the team. Erica Wheeler and Ray Burrell have both shown intense passion and deep frustration during recent team meetings. Wheeler has been vocal about the need for better leadership, admitting that she is feeling the weight of the team's struggles. You could see the toll it was taking on Burrell's face during recent interviews, even as she tried to remain professional. There is a clear disconnect between the talent on the roster and the execution on the floor. The players are hungry for success, but they feel like they are hitting a wall every time they step into a film session or practice.
Get going.
Well, they got to bring life off the bench, play with some confidence. And again, it's player one through every DB player. Like, execute what we're supposed to be doing. Be focused, be in the moment. Don't be thinking about the shot you missed or the foul you didn't get or the turnover you had or the fact that your player just scored. Like, next play mentality. It takes a level of toughness mentally. That's what I need from everybody.
With this stretch, have you considered going to more of a hockey substitution? I noticed there are a couple teams in the league, they just be popping players out there, and I looked at, for example, I looked at the Valkyries the other day.
Lynne Roberts didn't hold back when she addressed the lack of toughness within her current squad. She admitted that the ability to push through adversity is currently missing from the locker room. The coach noted that the team looked completely disconnected in their last outing, perhaps due to a long layoff, but she refused to use that as an excuse. "We are pros," she stated emphatically, emphasizing that everyone has a job to do, that simply isn't getting done. The lack of second and third efforts on the court is becoming a glaring issue that talent alone cannot fix. Even with key players like KP and KM out, the coach expects a much higher level of competitiveness.
Not be overwhelmed by whatever it is. I think she puts a lot of pressure on herself. She's an achiever. She wants to do right. She wants to win. So I'm trying to take a little pressure off of her, take some air out of the tires so that it's not such a bumpy ride.
Yeah, one thing she mentioned, that she was saying that she feels like, and it's self-imposed, right? But she feels like she has a lot of expectations on her.
Yeah.
And on this new team,
yeah,
in this new role, one of the marquee players. She didn't say one of the marquee players, but she is one of the marquee players. One of the, top paid players. Like, all of these different things can kind of add up, right?
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that across the league a little bit too.
In a move that surprised many, Roberts decided to scrap a full court practice in favor of an intense film session. She told the players that they didn't need to run through plays until they were physically worn down, they needed to fix their minds. It was a decision to focus on the mental intensity required to execute at the professional level. The coach described the solution as simple, but incredibly difficult to put into practice. Being in the right coverage and being where you need to be on offense is a matter of discipline. This shift in coaching strategy suggests that the Sparks are trying to clear the mental clutter before making any more massive roster changes this season.
Yeah, well, she's a really great shooter and really good playmaker. She's really smart, and we could use some of that. And so, just another punch off the bench. We haven't shot it well in a couple weeks. She's someone I have confidence in that can knock down shots. Just another body that wants to get out there. She hasn't played in a while, so I know she's going to be hungry, and maybe that provides a boost.
I know it might seem like a lot to ask, but when she gets acclimated, could she be like an offensive hub off the bench where you kind of just like, because you mentioned great shooter, great passer, like those are the types of players who can, affect.
The conversation then turned to the bench, and that is where things got truly heated. Roberts made it clear that she needs more than just her starters to show up if they want to survive this stretch. She specifically called on players like Kate Martin, Alyssa Pillai, and Lee Ueru to bring life and confidence off the bench. The coach is looking for a next play mentality, where players don't dwell on missed shots or bad fouls. It takes a specific level of mental toughness to be a spark plug in this league, and Roberts is demanding that her reserves find it immediately. She wants a bench that can maintain the momentum rather than letting the lead slip away. The most shocking moment of the night came when Roberts was asked about the upcoming matchup with the Indiana Fever. When the topic of Caitlin Clark was raised, Roberts gave a response that many interpreted as a cold dismissal. She stated that while Clark is a phenomenal player, and the Fever are better with her, it doesn't change the Sparks' approach in any way. This statement reportedly left Kate Martin stunned, as it seemed to downplay the unique challenge that Clark presents on the court. To say it makes no difference felt like a slap in the face to the hard work Clark has put into transforming the league's popularity and competitive landscape. Kate Martin has always been known for her loyalty, and hearing her new coach talk about her former teammate in such a clinical way was reportedly a breaking point. Sources suggest that the atmosphere behind the scenes became incredibly tense following those remarks. Martin knows better than anyone what Caitlin brings to a team, both in terms of skill and morale. To hear it dismissed as just another variable was a hard pill to swallow. This internal friction is the last thing the Sparks need while they are trying to rebuild their identity. It raises questions about whether the coaching staff and the players are even on the same page regarding the league's top talent. The idea of a hockey-style substitution system has also been floating around the Sparks facility lately. Roberts noticed that other teams in the league are successfully rotating players in and out with high frequency to keep everyone fresh. She mentioned that in their last game, no one played more than 24 minutes, which is a radical departure from traditional rotations. The goal is to maintain a high level of energy on the floor at all times, especially with key players missing from the lineup. However, this strategy requires a level of trust in the bench that Roberts hasn't fully shown yet. It is a risky gamble that could either save their season or lead to further chemistry issues. Aerial Powers is another player feeling the immense heat of the Hollywood spotlight right now. She has been open about the fact that she knows she needs to play better and has taken full accountability for her performance. Roberts is trying to help her by encouraging her to take small steps rather than focusing on the bigger picture of missed shots. The coach believes the law of averages will eventually work in Powers' favor, but the pressure of being a marquee player is starting to show. Powers is a competitor who wants to win, but the weight of expectations on this new team is creating a bumpy ride that the coaching staff is desperately trying to smooth out. There is a new financial reality in the WNBA that Roberts highlighted as a source of some of this stress. She pointed out that players are now getting paid real money, and with that comes a completely different level of expectation from the fans and the front office. You can't just play for the love of the game anymore, you have to produce results that justify the investment. This shift in the league's economics is forcing players to grow up quickly and handle the business side of basketball. For some, the transition is seamless; for others, the pressure that comes with a bigger paycheck is becoming a mental hurdle that is difficult to overcome during a losing streak. The Sparks are also looking toward Alyssa Pillai to provide a much-needed offensive boost. Roberts praised Pillai as a great shooter and a smart playmaker who could provide a spark off the bench. Because Pillai is currently in a development role, the team is limited in how much they can use her, but the hunger is clearly there. The coach is hoping that Pillai can serve as an offensive hub, impacting the game through both scoring and elite passing. With the team's shooting percentages bottoming out over the last few weeks, a player like Pillai could be the emergency valve they need to remain competitive in the Western Conference. Despite all the talk of strategy and rotations, the shadow of Caitlin Clark continues to loom over everything the Sparks do. Every move, from signing Kate Martin to the way Roberts answers media questions, is being scrutinized by a passionate fan base. The rumors of Clark being unhappy in Indiana are persistent, and the allure of a major market like Los Angeles is undeniable. If the Fever continue to struggle with internal chemistry and coaching decisions, the calls for a trade will only grow louder. The Sparks are positioning themselves to be the primary destination if the unthinkable actually happens and Clark demands a fresh start in the City of Stars. The disconnect within the Sparks roster was most evident during their recent 8-day break. Instead of returning refreshed and synchronized, they looked like a group of individuals who had never played together. Roberts expressed her frustration with the lack of connectedness, noting that they failed to execute even the most basic defensive coverages. This lack of cohesion is what makes the potential arrival of a player like Clark so enticing. She is a floor general who demands excellence and forces her teammates to be in the right spots. Without that kind of leadership on the floor, the Sparks are drifting through a sea of missed opportunities. As the Sparks prepare for their next game against the Fever, the stakes couldn't be higher. Roberts noted that they have played Indiana once with Clark and once without her, so they are prepared for both scenarios. However, the psychological impact of facing a player of that caliber is something you can't always prepare for in a film session. If the Sparks come out flat again, the calls for a total roster overhaul will reach a fever pitch. Fans in Los Angeles are used to winning, and they are losing patience with the process. They want to see the spark that was promised when the season began. Accountability in the locker room is currently being led by Aerial Powers, who is trying to take the pressure off herself by focusing on small defensive improvements. Roberts mentioned that she is trying to take some air out of the tires to make the ride less bumpy for her star players. It is a delicate balancing act between pushing for greatness and preventing a total mental collapse. The team is currently in a plow-through-it phase, where there is no way around the struggle, the only way is through it. This period of adversity will define the character of the team and determine who stays when the next major roster move is made. Kate Martin's role in all of this cannot be overstated. By moving from the player development pool to a standard contract, she has secured her place in the league, but she has also become a focal point for the team's chemistry. She is the bridge between the old guard and the new wave of talent entering the WNBA. If she is truly upset with how the coaching staff is handling the Clark situation, it could create a rift that is difficult to mend. Martin is a spark plug who brings energy, but that energy needs to be channeled toward the team's goals rather than internal conflicts over respect and recognition. The league update regarding Clark's status for the next game is one of the most anticipated stories in the sports world right now. Everyone is waiting to see if she will take the floor and how she will respond to the mounting pressure in Indiana. The rumors of her being done with the Fever have created a sense of urgency for every other team in the league. If she is truly available, the bidding war could be unlike anything women's basketball has ever seen. The Sparks are clearly making sure they have the roster spots and the salary cap flexibility to be the frontrunners in that potential sweepstakes. Lynne Roberts closed her session by emphasizing that it is all about the next game. She wants her team to turn the page and learn from the mistakes they saw on film, but she knows that talking about it isn't the same as doing it. The level of mental toughness required to win in this league is something that must be forged in the heat of competition. As the Sparks head into a critical stretch of the season, the eyes of the basketball world are on them. Will they find their rhythm, or will the internal friction over Caitlin Clark and the coaching staff's comments lead to a total meltdown in Hollywood? The situation is evolving by the hour, and the signs of a major trade are looking more real than ever before. Jason Whitlock's original report has been reinforced by the curious actions of the Sparks front office. When you look at the passion of players like Erica Wheeler and the sudden promotion of Kate Martin, the pieces of the puzzle begin to fit together. Los Angeles is a star-driven city, and it is currently missing the biggest star in the game. The stage is set for a monumental shift that could redefine the WNBA for the next decade. The only question left is, who will be the first to blink? Ultimately, the shocking statements made by Lynne Roberts have pulled back the curtain on a league in transition. The tension between Kate Martin and her coach is just one symptom of the larger growing pains the WNBA is experiencing as it enters the mainstream spotlight. Whether Caitlin Clark stays in Indiana or makes the move to the West Coast, the conversation has changed forever. The players are demanding more, the coaches are under greater pressure, and the fans are more engaged than ever. One thing is certain, the next few